Story 1, Drive Up. Okay, then, I was at the drive-thru of a coffee place in Canada that is named after a hockey player, who is far more famous for his donuts. I pulled up to the speaker and started to order my drink, donut and the pack of hockey cards that I seem to be addicted to buying. Could I have an XLT with 2 milk? I started my order, already wondering what card I'll pull. Drive up. Now I knew, logically, the person on the other end was being impatient, and had assumed I only wanted a drink. But I'm tired of the phrase sorry, I'm not done with my order yet, so I drove up. The cashier told me my total and handed me the debit machine and was surprised when I said that I also wanted cards and a donut. I think the kicker was when I said I assumed he couldn't hear me, so told me to drive up and finish my order. It was a minor inconvenience for them, and didn't add more than half a minute to the wait behind me. I'm sure they won't learn anything from this either. Story 2, Elevator Races. While not completely malicious, it's close enough that it won't be out of place here. I'm sure you will all get a chuckle. A few years back I worked at an IT company. One day the boss decides to buy everyone lunch, so myself, one of the other guys' girl from the office head up to pick up the order of 20-odd burgers, chips etc. When we get back to the office building, we are on the 7th floor. There are 2 elevators, both of which are available in the lobby. She says to me, "Race you up," to which I reply, "What are you, a child?" The 3 of us get into one of the elevators. I quickly hit the buttons for every floor, jump out before the doors shut. I beat them up there by a few minutes. I'm giving the boss his burger, their elevator opens. She calls me a dickhead from across the office. Boss is like, WTF, I told him what happened and he pissed himself laughing. Story 3, Maliciously Funny Middle School Compliance. I'm a middle school teacher, and one of my 7th graders is an ADHD kid with a heavily active imagination. He loves working with his hands, so he is always cutting up paper, braiding yarn, etc. We always encourage him to clear his desk for class and at least try to keep the clutter away, and he always does it happily, although he sometimes has a little back and forth. Student, let's start the lesson. Put the yarn away. Oh, it's not yarn, it's technically nylon cords, so I can keep doing it, right? This is always light-hearted and in no way aggressive. He knows he is being pedantic, it's just for fun, preparing for his responses. I always try to find a way to phrase my sentences in a way it will be hard to counter, and yesterday it backfired. He was messing about with paper and he told me, "Teacher, today you can't tell me to stop cutting paper, because I'm not cutting, I'm just folding," and he had a huge amount of folded pieces of paper on his desk. So I said, "Very nice, student. So will you please stop manipulating paper so that we can start the class?" And smiled victoriously at him. Little did I know, he looked at me and, "What did you say?" "Stop manipulating paper." And immediately proceeded to put away his notebooks and textbooks. I knew I had been cooked and just told him he had outsmarted me again. He kept at his desk doing nothing for like a minute and then he laughed it off. Winked and got his stuff back on the desk. No folding paper anymore. I love the little dude and I cherish these back and forth we have. Story 4, Don't give me all 5s, this one should be fairly quick. I started working at a convenience store, one that doesn't particularly like its employees to have a significant amount of cash in their drawers. Okay, no biggie. Anytime somebody is paying with a big bill we have them use the Mash Gin, pretty dope self-checkout system if I do say so myself, but it doesn't do cash back. Typically, we don't either. We accommodate when we can, and try to be nice about it when we can, despite our all caps "No cash back" sign we have laminated, so we can put it out when we're low. It's officially out. We've got very limited, cash, customers in line at all registers, and we encounter Karen face. I guess he's technically a Kevin. I'm so low I'm asking customers if they're paying with cash or card, subsequently referring cash to the automated machines. I ask Karen face, "Hey, how's it going, is it cash or card?" KF, "Oh, it's card." Me, "Good thanks." I ring his $4 worth of items and then he says as the register pops open, "Oh, I put in for cash back," as he's literally touching the no cash back sign. I try so hard not to sigh, to no avail. As my drawer is popped open I see him in luck, someone actually just paid for gas with 8 5s, so I promptly grab and start counting. KF what the fuck bro nah don't give me all fives what the fuck is wrong with you? I know you guys got cash, y'all lying pieces of shits. Okay, the last little part was said with his face, but fuck that guy. Enter MC. As I explained to him that this is really all I've got, I decided to leave 2 fives and hand him a roll of quarters with 30 and fives. I make sure it's splayed out so it looks like a lot of fives. Looks like you're right, we do got cash. TMDR, I gave a Kevin $40 cash back. Story 5, tell you, in front of your other customers and employees why I don't want you as a provider. Sure, this happened around 2012 and deals with my internet provider. They sucked majorly, days with no internet and no warnings. The last straw was when there was no internet for over 2 weeks. Called them and they said they'll send someone to come look, but nope, no one came. Went to their branch office and one of the higher-ups finally out on his big boy undies and did some work. As an apology they told me they'll only charge me the days I did have internet. It took 3 more days for me to have internet again, then the bill came and it was higher than what I should be paying for. Went to the branch office the same day I got the bill. Before I could say my grievance the employee told me I'd have to pay a penalty since I'll be late in paying, and that just made me now my gasket. They wouldn't explain shit to me, so I told them I want them gone. I didn't want them as a provider anymore. I was there at 9 a.m. and done at 2 p.m. They really tried to get me to stay. But when they realized I was set in my decision they finally complied. One of the things I had to do was call one of their reps or whoever to tell them my reasons for dropping them. The phones were by the entrance and waiting room. Went there and some assistant was watching me like I committed a horrible crime, called them and that took me close to 10 minutes. When someone finally answered they asked me my list of problems with them, not sure what for they didn't really give a shit about them before, so proceeded to tell each and every fuck up they did and the last straw. It was in front of waiting customers and those coming in. The assistant looked embarrassed and ready to murder me. It got way worse as several customers walked out after hearing me. When it was all over even one of them managers was trying to guilt trip me for talking shit about them, had to pay the bill and the penalty, but by then they wanted me out quick. I got a better internet provider. I also had a last laugh when I lambasted them on Facebook, a lot of comments really laying on how awful they were. Story 6, schedule a meeting at 12 a.m. I've been working as a lead in an IT firm from India that supports a US client. I have a manager here in India who approves my PTO, handles performance reviews, and meets with us a few times a month. His and the management's view is that the work we do is for the client, but we should also contribute to the organization. So, we're encouraged to take up additional tasks like recruiting or preparing business reviews. Essentially, we need to be available during the day. I also have another manager in the USA, who is Indian as well. He coordinates with the customer and handles any escalations related to our work. His main concern is ensuring there are 0 escalations from the client. The clients assign us projects, and we interact with them directly. We have meetings every day, usually lasting at least 2 hours. Since we're paid a monthly salary, there's no extra money for additional hours worked. Both managers take advantage of this. There are no strict working hours, but we must be available from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. Which corresponds to 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. US time. Typically, we start working at 10 a.m., continue until 5 p.m., and then resume from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Sometimes, meetings with clients extend an extra 30 minutes to an hour. Our US manager connects with us after the meetings with client. One day, I had a lot of work to finish and decided to work from home instead of commuting. I had a 3-hour client meeting followed by a knowledge transition session, so I was fully occupied. The on-site manager asked me to schedule a meeting with him. I told him my day was packed till midnight. He refused and said he needed 30 minutes of my time. I asked if he could join a little earlier before my meetings, but he said no. Then I asked, is 12 a.m. fine for him? He said yes and scheduled the meeting at 12 a.m., all happened over Teams chat. I decided to take his own words against him, so I scheduled the meeting for 12 a.m. his time, which was 10 a.m. the next day for me, thinking, if you expect me to be available at midnight, why not you? That was the last time he expected me to be available post-midnight. Story 7, "Oh, I should just leave it to you since I'll only slow you down, don't mind if I do." This happened in grade 3 when I was 8 years old. It was in the early 2000s in the Philippines. Students would be put in groups. After school we'd have to clean the room. Especially the floors, sweep and wax. It was the students' responsibility to clean and keep it clean. The duty was once a week per group, and during that 1 week I had to go visit relatives for a funeral. When I got back my group mates told me that they did the job faster, and that stung, not gonna lie. When it was our turn, they complained to me how slow we were at cleaning up and blamed me for it. That stung again, not gonna lie. So the following week, still hurt and not wanting to get blamed again, I decided to go home and not help. As I was making my way out, I was the first person to leave. My teacher asked me what I was doing. Told her since I was just gonna slow my group down I might as well just go home. Teacher, known for being a living bomb and can set off any moment, looked at me and my group and said okay. Went home feeling oddly pleased with myself. Then a cousin who was a couple classes over and had cleaning duties told her mom, who then told my mom, and how my teacher gave my group the what for. It was so loud my cousin could recite it verbatim. Basically, teacher said my group was fast but they weren't good at cleaning. They would forget to sweep areas and even leave more trash behind. They were fast, yes, but it was only by a few minutes. They would rush and do a piss poor job. She had them stay longer to make sure it's all cleaned properly. Next day my group mate apologized to me and never complained again. And guys, I know this sounds abusive and exploitative, but back then this was normal for us. It wasn't great. Edit. Thanks for all the replies. This was around 2000 to 2001, and during that time physical punishments were still common and encouraged. I remember if you didn't do your homework you'd have to place your hands on your desk, palm up, and the teacher would smack it with their stick, which was made of bamboo. Another was getting hit on the butt with the stick. Then there was the ear pulling, and one teacher liked to pull the hair and skin behind the ears. I didn't have great memories of that time. Nowadays I know the physical punishments isn't allowed and is labeled abusive. I also remember that during 4th grade our classroom was hardly cleaned because the teacher was the first to leave and last to arrive.